All right. So excited to have you here, Dayna Mullen. Oh my goodness, for everyone listening, this is going to be a really enjoyable conversation for Courtney and I because there's a personal intimate relationship here. We've been journeying together for a while now. And Dayna, you and I met at an event through a mutual friend, Mark Gross. And we both love Mark so much. I'll speak for you here. I just love him so much. And I was so excited to be introduced to you through him because there has been such a resonance. There's been so much beauty in the work that we get to do in the world. And from my perspective, there's a place where you really live and embody what we're going to be talking about today. And that's what excites me. That's what excites Courtney and I and all our listeners. And the invitation here is going to be going into all the vulnerable terrains. That's what our audience loves. I'm just so grateful that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and I love you both. So,
Mm.
this is a conversation I know we've been probably wanting to have for a long time, and yeah, I'm excited too.
Hmm.
Yeah, and one of the cool things is that I know a lot of our listeners have heard us talk a lot about Stan Tatkin because I did his training, and yeah, thanks, Mike. And yeah, and we use a lot of his work in how we work. And Dana has a lot of training in this and has been doing it for a really long time. How long?
18 years ago, I met Stan.
Wow. Okay. 18 years. So she is well versed in this. She's deep in this work. And one of the things that really stands out to us about Stan Tatkin's work and the work you do, Dana, is that there is this understanding. So many people think that if I become securely attached in myself, then that's how I'll have a secure relationship. And what I think is so powerful about this work that you're doing, that Stan teaches about, is this idea of secure functioning, where in fact it's actually anyone can show up and do the dance of actually functioning in relationship in a secure way. And it's actually through doing that that we also build secure attachment. And this is so revolutionary and powerful and liberating for people. For us, it's been liberating because it means there's a way that right now, today, we can start functioning that actually brings us into love and security. And we'd love for you to share with our listeners, what is secure functioning? Our word for it is the sacred we, tending the sacred we. But what is secure functioning? Teach us.
Oh yeah, secure. Um, I love how Stan talks about this idea of the couple bubble, and I'm sure you've probably talked about that a little bit before. But this bubble is this entity that a couple can create in their relationship. It's like their little ecosystem. It's the air they breathe. It's the dynamic and the dance between them. And it's really about creating a relationship that is based on mutuality and fairness and justice and collaboration. It's this idea that we come first, that this relationship, not you, not me, but the two of us, that we put this relationship first and we tend to it. So it's so different than individual pathology, where it's I have a problem and it's all about me. It's how do we put this relationship at the forefront and really understand what is the vision of this relationship that we're creating, so it's conscious, so it has some agreements, it has some foundation to it. And that's really what secure is. Secure is it's the relationship that comes first, not us as individuals.
Hmm.
Mm, yeah. And this is something that I've really loved and appreciated about getting to know you because even in your messaging, in all of the relating between us, it shows in even just the way that you talk. I know that you
Mm-hmm.
live this. This is rooted in your partnership with your husband. For everyone listening, Dana's also a mother. You have three kids, and it shows up there. And I'd love for you to express and share a bit of your story, your journey of what this looks like in your life in all of those places and all of those roles.
So when my husband Dennis and I met, I'm going to back up and just say a little bit of this story because it really does relate. Um,
Please.
I was in a place where I was finally single for 8 months of my life. I was somebody who's always in relationships. I had two 4-year relationships, then a 2-year, and then I was single for 8 months. And it was kind of this place where I was finally finding who I was and what I really wanted in life from all the relationships that I had had. And when we met, we fell in love very, very quickly. Like we both knew we were in the same exact place at the same time, wanting the exact same thing. So it happened really fast for us. So love was awesome. Like we were infatuated with each other. We could eat each other up. We were obsessed with each other. And everybody around us would be like, this is too fast. It's too much. And we were like, we're not going to listen to other people." So, really quickly, we actually had a motto in our relationship that we didn't care what other people thought, that our relationship was going to come first. And we didn't even know what secure relationship was back then. Even though I was in grad school for marriage and family therapy, I didn't know Stan's work. So, we started our relationship with this motto of really understanding that we're going to put our relationship first. And that is the essence, and having each other's back of the foundation of our relationship. So when I actually ended up meeting Stan 18 years ago and starting to learn the work, it made me realize that we had some of the foundation, but we didn't have some of the structure in our relationship. So we had some of these concepts that we were going to have each other's back, we were going to do this, but we didn't actually know always how to do the dance of it, how to put in rituals in our relationship, how to have really clear agreements of what we're standing for, how we're going to navigate stress with each other, and all of the complexities of parenthood and building businesses and parents who are passing away and all of the different dynamics. So we got really structured in our relationship. And I often tell couples, I think of relationship like a business. So when you're a business owner, you are investing in a vision, you're investing your time and your energy and your money. And that's when it's successful. It's because you've invested in it. So for us, our relationship has been like a business. We've taken it and said, let's invest the most in this because we want this to be the most successful business that we have in our whole life. And so we have very specific things that we do to maintain that part of our relationship. We have a couples journal that we reflect on every week. We have meeting times that we reflect in our relationship. We have ways that we transition from different things with each other. I think probably the same as you guys do, if I'm guessing. Um, and we really have a vision of what we're doing in our relationship. So we're always moving towards that together and not apart.
And I'm curious with that, is it a vision that's long standing, or is it always shifting and evolving as you guys journey together?
Oh, such a good question, Mike. I love that you asked that. It's totally evolving. And that's actually what I notice the most that happens with couples is they come into therapy and they had a vision, they had a starting point, and then they met the vision, they got married, they had the kids, and then there was no evolution of the
Mhm.
vision. And so it is evolving. It is an ongoing, we're evolving as human beings. So some of my interests are changing and some of his interests are changing, but it's how are we evolving together rather so we're growing up like together rather than apart. That's what I notice a lot of people do on this individual journey in life. They'll say, I'm healing and I'm finding myself. And I get scared sometimes when I hear people say that because I'm like, oh, where's your partner? And a lot of the time, that's often when I see people is one person has done 6 years of individual work and their partner's like, I don't know who you are anymore. Like, what happened? Like, don't you love me? And they're like, well, I've changed. And so helped me understand this about myself. And so really for me, it's guiding couples back. And same in my own marriage, it's how are we creating that vision together? And of course, we're going to grow and evolve individually, but we have to have a shared vision. Otherwise, where are we going?
This is such an important little piece you're naming here is this piece where we someone starts to do that individual work, and because there isn't that ongoing tending of the we, that process we can, we've watched so many couples in this where now all of a sudden there's this huge chasm, but also stories about my partner's not going to meet me here, they don't get me now, they don't, but there weren't the structures that were in place to support that evolution together is what I'm hearing you talk about. Yeah. And can you speak a little more to that about how do couples end up growing in a way where there can be growth. And maybe even one person really, really, really wants to do a lot of personal growth. And maybe the other person wants to dabble or grows in different ways. How would a couple do that together?
Yeah, that's a great question, Courtney. To me, that one of the most important pieces for couples is that they have some kind of ritual that they actually stick with. And that can be very simple. It could be a bath together where we chat. It could be we do Sunday morning coffee where we sit and we connect. But it's coming back and it's sharing that stuff. Like when you're evolving individually, you want to share. You're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like I learned this thing and I'm doing this thing." And the other person's like kind of like the ideal what the parent, a secure parent would have been like, tell me all about it. I'm so curious. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. And they get really evolved in that individual journey with their partner. And so they do this back and forth sharing. But to me, it's like it needs to be like a ritual. Like I didn't go to church growing up, but like church, to me, it's relationship church. It's let's come back together and let's study and evolve together and let's talk about all of these growth things that you're loving. And even if I'm not interested in it or it's not my thing, I can still sit and hold space for you and get excited for you and, connect with you on that.
Mhm.
Mm. I love that you're speaking to that. In our world, we describe one of those structures as temple night. So every Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, we show up for temple night and it's contained. The phones aren't in the room. Like that's the time to deepen into the practice of the we. And when I look at our culture, how could we create the safety and get to know each other without the structure? Like for me, it's paramount. So I love that you're naming that. And I'd love for you to share what would you say supporting so many couples and you living in the relationship that is rooted in secure functioning? What are the top two structures to hold a couple into the place where they are really creating that safety together, that connection?
And Mike, when you ask this, do you mean like in a therapeutic sense or do you mean just in their own world?
In their own world. Like, so if you were to see a couple buy into the worldview of secure functioning, we're all in. No more hyper individualism. No more, I'm just going to personal development myself to some sort of enlightenment and now I'll be ready for a relationship. Like, what would be one or two of those structures that if they started to do them would lead to that depth, that connection, that we space?
Yeah. So instantly I just have a vision of one of the things that my husband and I do as well, and something I do with couples, but it's literally finding a place in your home and sitting on the floor cross-legged because it already lowers our arousal. So we're already feeling more grounded naturally. We're on the ground, so we are more grounded facing each other. So having eye contact the whole time, having a tea or whatever it is, and just creating that space for us, for we. This is our relationship time. It shows for the kids, if they have kiddos, that this is what they're doing. They're in their bubble. This is their time. And it's the time for us to role model connection for other people also. Again, if you have kids, I love to do that because then the kids walk by and they see that and they feel that because that's where they learn relationships is through home, not through school. There's none of that happening there. So cultivating that space in your home is huge and setting a time. Like for us, we have the Saturday or Sunday mornings, but we also, if one of us wants to connect, we'll just go and sit on the floor. And so you just sit there and then that's like waving the flag. We had a quick conversation before we started today. So that was what I was going to say, that it's like I'm waving the flag of I want to connect. I want to sit and hold space for you, or I want you to hold space for me. And it's just a little signal to say this is our space. And I think that that's an easy one and for couples to do in so many different situations, but that's a big one.
Mm. It makes me, I'm having this visual of one time Mike and I went for a full day of coaching, business coaching together. And we just journeyed with like, then he was two, and our friend who was being with Cedar while we were doing this. And we get there. And instead of going into the coaching that was supposed to start, Mike and I sat on the grass in our couple bubble, just being together for half an hour to just get really connected before we went in. And the coach was she shared she's like, um I've never had anybody
that
do
was
that
a
before. Yeah, yeah. I just and then I just saw you guys out there just sitting on the grass, just sitting, but that's what it makes me think of, that intentional, right?
And just to reflect what it made her feel was, oh my God, that felt so good. And then
Mhm.
when she came into the space to do the work together, it was almost, and I'm putting words in her mouth based off of what she shared, but where the secure functioning here created some more coherence in the field so that we could get right into the deeper work.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're so right. And it is, I'll often say to people, it's that energy, right? Like the energy that a couple has, when it's beautiful, when it's magnetic, when it's, when it's aligned, it like you want to be around it. Everybody. I mean, that's why to me, I'm like, there's nothing more important than this work because I mean, I love watching couples. I'm sure you guys do too. Like I love young couples. I love all of them. I just watch them and I'm like, oh my God, you're so cute. Like a baby cute. I'm like, I just want to
Yeah.
like eat you guys up because that energy, that is showing people what we want to create. And if we can do that everywhere, mums and babies and dads and babies do it all the time. I mean, every time you see a parent with a baby, you're like, oh, I love that little bubble that they're in. When couples do it, it's even more profound
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
because
chills.
yeah, it's
Go ahead.
conscious, it's intentional. It's like we are doing this and showing this so other people can see, so they can feel this from us. That's going to change the world right there.
Medicine, it's medicine.
Oh,
And I
Yeah.
feel like it's bold too, because it's pushing back against what I perceive as a very hyper individualistic culture where there's a lot of reward of started from the bottom, now we're here. You do it on your own.
Mhm.
And it's pushing against and it's being seen in no, 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 this is us, this is we. And taking up space can feel edgy because
Mhm.
there's judgments, there can be criticisms about it. And that brings me into my next question. What I'm curious about is like what are some of I actually want to start off with the individual piece. When you look at a couple that's coming to work with you and let's say they're not in secure functioning, what are some of the individual behaviors, patterns, habits that you see that prevents secure functioning from happening?
mm. Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. Um, First off, self-righteousness. There's often just that, and not that they don't have a reason to feel right, but the lack of taking accountability. So often I'll see couples coming in, individuals where they want to be right more than they want the relationship. They have a really hard time seeing into their own role in it and taking their accountability, so that holds it back. Sometimes it's even the buy-in of what a secure relationship is, that they have never experienced it because of the attachment trauma from their childhood, that when you even say it, you preach it, you start to explain it, they get upset because it's like if you've never spoke German and I'm speaking German to you. It's like I've never experienced that. And so just even that block of I don't even know what you're talking about because I don't know it doesn't make sense intellectually or in the body. And they're so disconnected because they're in such self-preservation because they had to been since they were little. And often it is really just those individuals that have learned for so long to self-abandon their needs for attachment as a child. And so they don't even know often what their needs are. They think they do, but they really don't. And they definitely don't think their partner can meet them.
Mhm.
So, yeah, big one. So, the self righteousness, are there any other ones in there that get in the way on the individual side?
Um, Massive dysregulation, like that would be another one. People who
Mhm.
are not aware or not able to regulate themselves, which isn't in itself a horrible thing if the other person can start to lean in. When you get two couples that are like massively dysregulated, obviously that will hold things back. What I find though, honestly, when couples come in, it doesn't take very long for them to start to feel seen in those pieces. And I'm not a big labels person, so as much as I'll call people on their shit, I will do it very lovingly, and I will make sure that they feel very seen and held in the space. And it's really about then educating them on where I can take them, not pathologizing so much who they are and the things that are holding them back. I don't focus there at all.
Mhm.
I'll
Which
notice
is
those.
which I love that about you, Dana, because that's it. That's you doing it right there. That's the secure functioning with your clients. You doing that with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I always think of like I think of the younger parts of people. So when I'm working with somebody, I'm like, oh, like this is like your 3-year old or your 5-year old or your 9-year old part. And like I can't that part isn't gonna understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm not going to. I'm just gonna
Mhm.
sit with that and move with that and let them feel the security with me. And then I can help their partner know what to do to be more secure and then hold them in that. So I feel like I don't focus as much on the things that are holding people back as opposed to how am I going to move through those pieces and help them feel relief as quick as possible with each other.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, which again, that's so that that is what secure functioning sort of requires is this way of thinking, right? I find that with myself in the practice of secure functioning, there could be a place where I hang out thinking about what the problem is and what Mike is doing this and I'm doing this, but from the secure functioning lens, what could I do here to help us get more into safety? How could I meet Mike here that would help bring another level of security? You know, that's the thinking, right? In every single moment, what could the ingredient be here? And building that muscle. So I love you really modeling that. Yeah, because that's also the work of the therapist, right? Is learning to see it in that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I have a question for you guys actually just on that. This is kind of funny, but
Hmm.
what because you both do this work, do you notice things that hold you guys back as a couple where it's like, "Oh, I can see my partner's in that piece right now, and what do I do?"
We figured out fairly early on that we couldn't bring, at least I'll speak for myself, that when we made agreements around not bringing our therapist self or our coach self to each other. And so I literally don't wear my therapist hat when I'm with Mike. It's literally a hat I take off and I'm not bringing it in. You know, in past relationships, I would do that, right? When I was in grad school and learning all the things, like analyzing my partner. So I'm not doing that when I'm with him. I'm not thinking from that lens. I'm more tracking my sensations and what I'm feeling and how can I build connection. Um, and yet, the one piece that can happen is what we have that other couples don't, not all couples anyway, is we have so much language to describe things. And what I notice is that can be a little bit tricky because we've actually had to make agreements about it because I'll be in the experience of feeling the dynamic that's happening. I'm trying to express a need and he's not hearing me. And then I try to pull on this technical information to
And here we
explain,
say,
to try to explain, right? Or using a word, right? And so we've had to learn actually that we can only do that if we're in a certain level of regulation. And if we're not at a certain level of regulation, we cannot bring in any of the technical terms or the I read this in a book or I read that in a book. But if we are both feeling really in a good regulation space, then we can say, hey, I've been learning about this and sharing it, right? What would you say?
we have a golden rule that we share in all of our work, and that is we move at the pace of connection. And so if we're feeling connected, yeah, we can share some of the learnings, the teachings, the things where we want to deepen into the therapy world and the coaching world because that's so fun to connect there. But if we're not feeling connected, we don't go there because I know the little one in me will use that as leverage and ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates a bigger wedge between us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just make sure that that is strongly protected. And then another one there is we really advocate and be mirrors to each other around I statements. If any we call it you me consciousness, if that starts to come out, okay, we're an adaptive brain. Can you share that in an I statement? Like what's happening for you? and your experience. And then we just keep guiding each other in that. And then we notice it just keeps things more connected.
Well, and then one last thing I'll add is that even though Mike and I do couples work together, we're actually very different. And even our history is different, right? I have a master's in social work, and I've trained in all these therapy modalities and have all this therapeutic experience and shamanism, ceremony and energy work. And then Mike is an
And
intuitive coach.
intuitive coach is where I started in my
Yeah.
certification. Then I've been in men's work for over 10 years. So it's a very different quality.
We have a different, so that means even though, yeah, we're doing the work together, we're actually quite different. So it doesn't end up clouding, I guess, as much because we're so different in the way we look at things and see it. And yeah. But it does feel so good to have a partner that's wanting to learn about how to do secure functioning. It's amazing.
Well, and this idea of, I love everything you guys just said, and we all come from different backgrounds, right? I mean, very few couples are very similar. That secure relationship is also an energy. I always like to say that to my couples, like, what's the energy of your relationship? Like, are you aware of that, of what you're trying to create? Because we can, I think anyway, I think we can be dysregulated and have a vision of what that relationship looks like and the energy of it. We do it as parents too, right? Your child is acting out. It could be your child, it could be your partner. We all act out, right? So it's like somebody's acting out, and what am I going to do? How am I going to move into that energy space, and how am I going to create what we decided that we're going to create in this space? And how are we going to get there? We have to know what that feels like so we can get into that feeling. I love how you guys say we move at the pace of connection, and I always say person first, problem second. So I don't care what the
Mm.
problem is. I'm like, we're dealing with human beings and energy. And so I'm going to connect with you, and I'm going to make you feel seen and heard and understood before we tackle anything else.
Oh, I love that. Person first, problem second. Yeah.
Well, and another little share that I just think was so helpful for me from Stan Tatkin's work, just because you mentioned it there, is this idea of acting out, which, really speaks to with children too. But that the moment we're not in the we, when we're not in that secure functioning place, we're acting out. Something's happening and we're acting out. And then we just need to get back into that sacred we place. And it's quite simple actually to start tracking for that in myself. Oh, this is the acting out. This is where I'm not in the we. What's needed to come back? Yeah.
Oh, but such hard work sometimes.
It is. It is. I want to share this. I haven't thought of this for a while. I used to say this all the time, but I I kind of visualize a neon sign above my head that says, if my relationship comes first, what do I do? And so I do this as a
Mm.
parent with my kids. I do this with my husband. I do this everywhere where relationship is really important, because then it guides me. It's like, oh, it's not just about me. It's like, how am I going to see into them? How am I going to hold space for them? Because that relationship is paramount, not me, not just them.
Yeah.
Ooh, I want to hear what's the benefit, because I know there's someone out there thinking that there's another thing they're giving in that, like, oh, here I have to offer another thing to my partner. What do you get out of it when you orient in that way? If you're filtering through that question of if the relationship was first, like, what do you get out of it?
Oh, you get everything. It is. I can see what you're saying with that, Mike. How some people could see that and think, well, then I'm doing everything again, and I'm self-abandoning, and of course I'm going to do everything for the relationship. But again, a secure relationship is based on mutuality and fairness and justice and collaboration, and we're both the boss, and we both make decisions together. So when you lead with relief, when you move into the space of a relationship, and you hold space for that other person first to feel seen and heard and understood, then all of their defenses go down. When somebody feels that sense of security and feeling seen, they don't get defensive. So you then get that connection with the person, which is the ultimate of what you want anyway, is connection. And if you need something back, that's your opportunity to say, I'd love to share a bit of how I'm feeling. I feel like I've seen into you. Do you have space to see into me? And then they will, because that's what we practice and that's what we do. And when we have that clear vision of this is how we do it, Oh, I just had like that song come off my head. This is how we do. It's like when you have that,
Take that
it's like, yes.
throwback. Yeah.
When you know what you're doing, that's really also what secure functioning is that we're planning for the times when we're dysregulated. We're not planning for when things are good. When things are good, things are good. I love it when it's good. It's easy. Relationships can be easy when things are good, but when they're difficult and they're challenging, we need to have that vision of this is what we do. We lead with relief. We put the relationship first. We move in, and then we do this dance back and forth.
We
Mm-hmm.
reach out for support if we can't hold it ourselves, if we're stuck in this thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is a perfect segue into the next one. I want to really hear from you. We talked about the individual piece and what can get in the way of secure functioning. Now I'm curious about the dynamics, the relational dynamics in partnership. What are some of the most common, maybe top 3 dynamics that you see there that is getting in the way of the secure functioning way?
Um, so I'm not sure if I'm going to answer this question right, Mike. So just tell me if I'm off a little bit. But the first piece is when couples are really still in their histories, when they're really still activated from their childhood attachment dynamic, that is what's at play often in the room in the couples work. I'm sure you guys see that also, but that is really holding us back from secure functioning. That's like it's like we're, as using Stan's language, we might be stuck in our waveness, our anxious or our island, our avoidant, sometimes some disorganized, but it's like that's playing out and we're not able to be aware of that outside, especially of the office. Like when we're with couples, we can do that work with them, right? We can manage it. But when they're at home, they go right back there. And that's their personal reality, which is their personality. And then they just can't get outside of that and they stay in that dynamic. And then they come back and they're like, well, we did the same dance again. And it's like, oh, you guys weren't following the things. You weren't following the things that we've talked about to be like, how do we get back from when we get hijacked from those younger parts, from those inner childhood wounded parts?
Mm,
And
yeah.
so, would you say then it's the structures and the practices that help people, like how they're working with that at home, that help bring them back?
Yeah, the biggest structure, Courtney, to me is that when we remember, honestly, the thing I probably preach the most to people is person first, problem second. Like, and that we validate each other's feeling and experience always, without even having to understand it or even agree with it. Like, those are two things, and the relationship coming first. People will hear me say this over and over and over again because when you see your partner, let's say both couple, they're both dysregulated at the same time and they're both triggered in their own stuff. If we don't have that map moving forward of like, what do we do? What do we do? Every different job has that, right? A surgeon, when something goes wrong, they have a protocol. A business has a protocol. Everything has a protocol. So for me, that teaching that and helping couples understand that there is a path. You have to know what that is really clearly. This is the vision. So when one of us is dysregulated, if we're both dysregulated at the same time, go sit on the floor cross-legged in your spot, and then you're showing I am at capacity. I can't do anything else except sit here and hope that you'll come and sit here at some point and we won't fight. This is our like, we're waving the flag of like, I just want to connect. I just want to repair.
I love that you spoke to it earlier as well, this piece of going down to the floor cross-legged, because I can feel that in my body on where it de-armors in the nervous system to just almost prevent the body from propping up one over.
Exactly.
And it's such a beauty. And when I think of, in our life, in places where things can get triggered and that little kid wants to come flooding and grab the wheel and take over, almost every time we end up in the living room. Hey, how about we just go sit in the living room, which is cool because the room's even lower than the rest of the house. And so we go really low and it's just on the couch, eye to eye,
Breathing.
breathing. Just n- just the connection before communication. We're just, let's actually wait till our nervous systems find their way and then pick this back up. And so thank you for speaking to that piece.
I
I
love
think
that you
it's
Yeah, I love that you shared that, Mike. And I'll say, I even do this with my youngest, my 9-year-old. Like when she's triggered, dysregulated, and she's upset, I just sit on the floor and I validate her. I say, "Sweetie, I can see that you're upset. You have every right to feel upset. I can see that you're angry, whatever it is, whatever I see, I'll name it very specifically. And I'll just sit there and I'll say, I'm here whenever you're ready. And I'll just regulate myself. I'll breathe. I'll center myself. And I just let her know that I'm here whenever. And she might say, I'm not ready yet. And I'm like, that's okay. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here.
Mhm.
And then she'd be like, I just want to come sit on you. And I'll be like, okay, come sit. But it's no different with her than it is with my husband. If it's like we're the same way, we're like, come and just, I'm here whenever you're ready. I'm here whenever you're ready. I love you. I'm here whenever you're ready. And just that, like, when we can remember that we're taking care of the person, the human being, before we're problem solving. We cannot get into the content until we're connected with each other. Like that's where safety lies. That's where everything is.
Yeah, well, it makes me think of, for me, as when we're working with couples or I'm working with a couple, the minute we're trying to work on anything with a certain level of dysregulation, there is no way through. It's other than maybe learning in that moment how to bring in little ways of starting to regulate each other, right? But you can't work through the issues when there's that level of activation. But that is kind of the greatest illusion that we can all believe in the moment. If I just am hurt in this thing, or if we just process this, then I'll feel better. That kind of, yeah, where we get off. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is, so what is the sacrifice to secure functioning? What's the sacrifice that people have to make?
Mm. Oh, that's a good question. I don't think of it as a sacrifice.
Yeah, I
It,
was like,
yeah,
Because you're
yeah, but
living it.
yeah.
But if you think of the people that are listening that haven't fully landed in secure functioning yet, or the couples that have been in front of you, what do you imagine the story in their head is around what they would have to sacrifice to move into this new way of being? Because I'm just going to be real. This isn't just new information to go integrate. We're inviting a new way of being. The sacred we is a whole different way to orient. It's And so, in their worldview, what do you imagine they would have to sacrifice?
yeah, I mean, and I just instantly go back to, like, different attachment kind of histories too are going to respond differently to that question. And they're going to have different things that they're going to have to sacrifice or let go of. And I mean, I feel like the more avoidant the island is going to have to not always be right. And they're going to have to be able to lean in rather than lean out. And so that alone time, that sacred, like, I take care of me, I regulate me, I do what's good for me. They're going to have to let go of that. They're going to have to be able to, not all of it. I believe that I think we should still have aspects of that, but they're going to have to get on the team. That's one of the things that I often say to people is like your relationship is like a team and you either win or you lose. But you're both losing or you're both winning. So you gotta get onto that team. You gotta be a team player. And so they have to let go of that aspect of themselves. And I think that's a tough one, really, really tough one for people who are more avoidant. Letting go of that. And then with that, I would say it's also helping them understand that they still are allowed to have that time and that should be prescribed to them. And then that feels empowering. Once they get that, their partner says, why don't you go for like a 3-hour bike ride? And they're like, yes, thank you. That feels amazing. So I don't
Uh,
I don't think they're
yes.
giving up actually still. But at the outset, they might feel like they're giving up something. That's
Yeah, and that's it. That's the intention of this question, because what I've noticed so many times is there's just a belief in there that's stuck, that they thinks they where a person thinks they have to give something up in order to choose this other way. And I just want you to really, like you've done beautifully, is really speaking to what is that belief that's in there where they think this is going to hurt. Like I have to, no, I have to give up this thing that I've been doing and this way that I've been living. And that can feel scary. I know for myself, when I think of, if I were to rewind back years and this is a conversation that was had, my avoidant would have been really triggered and be like, well, this sounds like codependence. I'm out.
yeah, get that a lot.
And so I would have to sacrifice being right about that. Like, I don't think that's what it is. Like, I'd have to feel vulnerable. I'd have to go into, oh no, now I'm going to be seen in vulnerability where I'm not right in this strategy that's been working so well.
And so what about for the anxious? What's
And then I
the
also want to
what's the
touch the
sacrifice?
disorganized too.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. The anxious, that feels like for them, they're going to have to actually lean in and be a lot more self-aware of everything that they're bringing. I think for the anxious, they feel very, very strong in I have every right to feel how I'm feeling because of everything that's happened to me, which is really, really true. But they can feel, that's why I like Stan's analogy of a wave. They can take over though. They can like, and people are gone, right? So it's like they have to sacrifice, I think, this belief that that they are the way that they are and that they're unchangeable and that people have to just understand that about them and they have to take some accountability for how they're showing up and how their energy is flowing into the dynamic and that if they want to create what they really want to create, they have to be able to learn to settle themselves and to sit with themselves and to honestly connect with themselves because they typically don't feel safe in themselves. So um, they have to be very vulnerable too in that piece and very self aware.
Mhm.
Yeah. Beautiful. And what about for the disorganized?
Hmm. I don't know if that one is. I think that for me that one just feels like they come from so much fear and threat in relationships that I don't know other than the story that they're not enough, that they're not worthy of love. They're going to have to let go of that. They're going to have to sacrifice
Mhm.
that story that they aren't worthy to the depth that they're not worthy or that the shame that they went through that that somebody couldn't love them in the way that they deserve.
Mhm. Yeah, sort of letting go of the how that became an identity or that was something to hold on to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll even say instead of even letting go, integrate feels better. Like integrate that part that has felt that way and not let it drive the bus. Cause
Mhm.
those they have every right to feel how they're feeling. They went through like massive, horrific, scary things. And so they are conscious, they're always scanning for threat in the world. And if they can find somebody that is willing to lean in and create safety, that story can be integrated and that part can be integrated beautifully and
Mhm.
held. But they have to be able to be vulnerable to do that. So they have to give up the life of self protection.
Mm,
Mhm.
loving this.
Mhm. Yeah, for can I say what I feel the place where I feel like I had to sacrifice, but I'm doing it in air quotes with my fingers because it's not really, but there's can be a feeling of it only because, before being in a relationship with Mike, I was in a phase where I was really discovering me deeper. And so I was in a phase where I was really choosing what I needed and following what I needed and moving in that way, and just what I needed. And I needed to do that for my development to build that muscle, right? And it makes me think of being in the forest when it's just you in the forest and you can do whatever you want and move however you want to move and be as big as you want. And, I often have to work with a part of me that there's just that, yeah. And now we're tending to the we. And so, and it's not the same kind of movement that there's moments of that. But then in this moment, I'm actually tending to the we. But then what all happens for me as I move in that more, then I find that the amount of goodness that comes back, the amount of is so big and so much bigger than anything I could have on my own that it's a no-brainer. It's not a sacrifice, but there is this part I have to kind of just acknowledge like, yeah, it's different. It's different. It's a different, that's how I've had to work with that in myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hearing so many themes of, oh my goodness, I have to take responsibility. Oh, I got to be and feel the vulnerability. Oh, I've got to let go of this coping strategy, all these places of creating safety. And when I think back to certain stages, if you were to ask me at the time, I could feel the protectors online that were afraid to sacrifice or give something up. But it wasn't until experiencing the other thing of
Mm-hmm.
having someone choose, of having someone to move towards, of having someone mirror back, you're really far away. Like, I think that's your avoidance. Like, oh, I've been so avoidant, I've never even considered that. And how grateful I am. And so I'm really glad that we're talking about this because I think there's a lot of places where I think it can be easy for us to get lost in the, oh, why wouldn't you want to do the wheat? This is the most incredible thing. It leads to more success in business. It leads to deeper sense of belonging. And you get to have an ally and to create safety and consistency with, to heal that little kid inside. And you get to do that inner child work beside your best friend. And yay, but that's not everyone's reality. And so thank you for sharing those
Mm-hmm.
pieces. Super helpful.
So I want to speak to one other thing that comes up for people a lot, and I'm sure people ask you about this. What is the difference between secure functioning and codependence? Because that's where what we notice is there can be when if you're not in the secure functioning experiencing it, there can be all these protectors that think, oh well, isn't that codependence?
Yeah, yeah, and it's definitely something that comes up all the time, Courtney. So it's a great question. I mean, secure functioning is interdependence. It is we both are showing up as our whole being. We are our authentic selves, and we are in this dance and this dynamic together. Codependency is where I'm self-abandoning. I'm self-abandoning my own needs for attachment with you. I will be easy. I will be accommodating. I will be whatever you need me to be, because this attachment is more important than anything else. And I've done this usually my whole life. This is usually the story of the person who is more codependent is like, I've been doing this since I was 3. So I'm very familiar with it. Secure functioning is not that. That's the one thing that I preach so much. I'm like, we don't self abandon. Anytime that you're in self abandonment, you are not in a secure relationship with yourself or with anybody else. And that's where the self comes back in for me too, where it's like, be aware of that. I think in relationships, my husband and I too, we've gone through phases where we've gone through some disconnection, where we've gone through some codependence, where we didn't really know we were going through it because we were really good at showing up for each other. And we're like, I didn't know you were self abandoning. It's like, oh, it breaks me heart. Like I don't want to I don't want to self-abandon me, and I don't want you to self-abandon you, which is why again the rituals become so important of how are we going to check in to make sure that we are always showing up for each other in a way that feels collaborative and feels mutual and feels like it is based on what's good for both of us and not just one of us.
So what I'm hearing there is a lot of weight putting on each person to be radically honest of what their experience is.
Mhm. Yes. And Mike, that again, that goes back to that's why for me the structure is so important in relationships. Like you guys are parents. Do you have structure? And you're a parent?
Oh
Yes,
my
you
Shocking,
goodness.
right?
gotta, you
Oh,
gotta.
you don't just wing it. You don't it doesn't just flow. It's not just like easy and like
Oh my
loving
goodness.
and no, like
A
no
million
relationship.
structures in a day.
Mhm.
So that's what breaks my heart is that I see this. This is what I see the most. The couples that come in is they are masters of their children. They are in what I would call the golden handcuffs of family. I know my kids. We know the family life. We're so good together in that realm. But I don't, I know everything about my kid. I know why they breathe the way they do, why they this, why they that. We've got structures for everything. But with my partner, nothing.
Mm.
We got married and it's done. And we don't do anything else after that. And no wonder people get disconnected. No wonder people get resentful. I would get resentful too. It's like my needs aren't being met. No shit. When are you going to get them met when you don't make any time in any structure to do that? And then people say, well, relationships shouldn't be work. And then it's like funny, right? Because it's like,
Mhm.
okay, like love is unconditional, but relationships are very conditional.
Yeah, and it'll be a lot of work if you don't if you the structures actually make less work. like in the long run, because it's a lot of work to carry around all the resentment and the ouchies, and that's actually a lot of work. The coping strategies, yeah.
Well, and that's why eventually when couples come in when they're so far gone, it's like we're so disconnected that it's like there's just nothing left. We've had 9 years of this and you're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, that just breaks my heart. What have you done to try and save it?" And they're like, "Nothing." Or maybe they've tried couples work, but if it's not done really well and
Mhm.
then, they just keep falling back.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the other little things we've kind of been on a bit of a pedestal starting to educate about people about too, right? Is if you're getting support on your relationship, but it's not actually relational support, right? So it's more focused on the individual, which we've had lots of people come to us that they went to a therapist who is a beautiful therapist, but they're not relationally trained.
Yeah.
And so the focus is more on Mike doing his work, Courtney doing her work, but then the actual relational healing isn't happening. And it actually starts to make more and more distance. And that it can be a common thing where people are going to shamans and medicine people and, who don't have that lens, that we lens, and it can actually make it worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so much. Yeah. I would say and the research shows that also. It shows individual therapy is detrimental to couples, to your marriage. And that's sad to say because you don't want to tell somebody like don't go and get your own healing and help, but just don't forget about your partner.
Hmm.
Let them in on the ride a little bit.
Yeah.
And something we found important, just even in our own individual journeys, is being very discerning of who we get individual support from. And I even track this with like this is on all levels. And I had to learn this the hard way. Even my business coaches, I'm tracking what kind of relationship do they have? How do they speak about their partner? Do they prioritize their family? Because if they don't, that energy will sneak in. It's that good old saying, you become your five closest friends. And so we're strong advocates for pointing that out. Like, hey, great, keep doing your thing, go to your retreats, and be discerning.
Yes.
Is this going to lead to a deepening of your bond? Are you gonna feel? Is there a safety to bring this back and integrate it into, inspiring each other and deepening the individual work with so freedom of, oh my God, Courtney, please go do your own things, because there's some places
We need
I
to.
don't want to just be naked singing with people in the forest. Not that that's just
Sounds fun.
I do. I
Yeah.
do.
But she loves that thing, and I love that you have sisters to do that with, so you can do that. And on my own version, but what my example is,
A part of you wants to do that, maybe.
yeah, I've opened up to it. I now like it.
I love it.
But just my point is really bringing in the integration of the individual work to deepen the seeing, hearing, and understanding each other.
Yes, definitely. And then just to take that to the next level, it's because you mentioned it, Mike, of like the people that you're around the most become, your energy or so much of who you are. The people that we're around, whether it's our family or our friends, like who are these other energy or these couples that we're around and how are they influencing us? Are they taking our energy? Are they adding to us? Like, are they in alignment with what we stand for? And that's a lot of the other thing that I'll see couples is when they start talking about their friends and the couples they hang out with. And it's like, oh, that's rough. And they're like, well, I have like 5 friends getting divorced. So it's kind of like maybe that's where we're headed. And like
Mhm.
that's like heartbreaking, right? Because it's like, oh, that's their story. But how do we hone you guys back on what do you want your story to be and who are you around? What community do you have that is, like we talked at the very beginning before we came on, it takes a village. And I think it takes a village with a couple too. Like who are your people that are helping you cultivate the relationship that you want?
Mhm.
What's your
That
role model couple? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the tone to build the tone because it's a certain kind of tone. It's a way of showing up in life. And even I felt it with you, Dayna, even just the way you spoke to Mike and I before we started the podcast, just Dayna was acknowledging how we shape her and what we add to her world. And she was speaking very we language, right? And when we're practicing that all the time
Uh,
with each other, it just become it we're not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that felt really good to feel that practice that we're just doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and just to say one more piece to that, Courtney, because I know you haven't met my husband, but like
Mm.
I talk about you guys and and there's only well, three males, I suppose. I do message Stan, but I message Mike and I message Mark, and I always bring it back to my husband. I'm like, hey, so just messaging with Mike, and like, look at like he was telling me all these things, and I feel so like good about it. And he's like, that's awesome. Like it's always we're always cultivating. That's another piece of secure functioning is open transparency. We don't have any secrets. It's like here, know all of these things. Here are these connections. This is why I'm connecting with these people. This is how it's showing up in my life and it's adding value to our relationship because of this. And then he feels brought along the ride with that too. So even individual relationships, not just individual therapeutic journeys, it's like I want us to feel like we're in each other's world, so I know his people and he knows mine even if we haven't met yet.
Mhm.
Oh, and that's something I appreciate about you so much. And even in the messaging, what I find is almost every time I get a message from you, it just invokes this feeling because of what you're living and embodying with Dennis. It invokes this feeling of I want to go scoop up my family. Almost every time I like walk into the house, I'm like, oh my God, I love you so much. Oh my God, I can't wait to have Dayna on the podcast. Oh my God, I can't. And then scoop up my son because you named it. And I just want to point it out because this is my real lived experience that when we relate, because there's that in the field, because there's the always the tending the secure functioning, it actually leads to that magnetism you described. It's contagious.
Mhm.
And then it just is easily shared and spilled into all the other relationships, which is what makes it so beautiful.
It is. And when we can lead with that in all of our relationships, like my goal I say is to change the culture of relationships. And so in every different situation and person that I'm interacting with, it's like I want them to know how much I love my husband and how much I love my family and how much I love this work because then they're like, "Oh, like that's exciting." Then they feel that and then they get curious with it. And I think that's the cool piece for you guys and for me as well. When you're living this and it's like you have the medicine, right? I think that Courtney even said medicine earlier. It's like, oh, we have it. It's over here. It's like I always think of it as like the path. I'm like, give me the couple. I can show them the path. Whether or not they're going to go on the path is going to be up to them. I won't tell them what to do, but there's a path to secure functioning, and it's
Mhm.
beautiful, and it's a beautiful yellow brick road, really, um,
Mhm.
or whatever color you like, but it's there.
Well, and one thing I just want to speak to with this piece, right, where you and Mike have been messaging is because I've always felt really included. Mike and Dayna know each other more. They've messaged more. I've been in since you guys met. I think I had a 2-year-old when you guys met. And so, I've just been in I disappeared from memo land from many people for many years now because there's not a lot of space for that. And so, but I've always felt really included and really honored and a part of it. And that you're not just relating with Mike, you're relating with our relationship. And the way that that allows me to, yeah, to let you into our family, to feel that. And that's one of the things that Mike and I are really careful with too, is the other person able to honor that and hold that,
Oh,
you
Oh,
know?
I
so
love that you
important.
just yeah, I love that you just said that. I wrote that down like relating with the relationship. Like that is so it. It's and my husband and I always felt like that early on. We were like we are like it's us. It's like there's us and then there's all of these people and if they have a problem with one of us, then
Hmm.
they have a problem with us. Like it's not if you
Yes.
have a problem with me, it's like you got a problem with me, you got a problem with him and that's an us thing. Um
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
Hmm.
so cool. I love that so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. And we've had to have boundaries around that and navigate that. But then it means too that we have the people we let in are people that can really hold that, that can
Yeah.
hold that. Yeah.
And the beauty to be able to share the vulnerability and human insecurities that do come up in those places to suss out and create a container of safety because we've had that too. Like, oh
Mm.
my God, that brings up this. Oh my God, let me hold that. And what's sweet about it is it actually creates a deeper bond here and then invites, oh, more relationships. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that are afraid of letting there be emotional intimacy with other people, thinking that it'll create more space here. But when there's the secure functioning online, it's like, no, I want you to have an abundance of open, safe relationships. Let's just move at the pace of connection and integrate all the little human parts that come up so that we make sure that this is in service to the we. Because if it's, you named it, if it's not in service to the we, it's not aligned for the relationship, and there does need to be space. We've had lots of relationships like that where we actually have to let them go because there isn't an honoring of it, no matter what's said or how it's addressed. And like, okay, honor your boundary then, and we're gonna have to let this one go.
Yeah. Yeah. We're the same. We've definitely had to do that too. I used to think of like, I haven't said it for a while, but I used to think of secure relationship also as a really small gang. You know, it's gang mentality,
Yeah.
but not killing, no death. Just, but that like we have
Death
each
of the
other's,
ego.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, not that either. Yeah. But that's one of like my husband and I, that's one of our mottos is we have each other's back no matter what. And it is like, you know, no matter what, I will even if I disagree with you in public, I am having your back. Like I'm going to look like your fiercest, you know, like loyal, like companion. And in private, we might have to have a discussion of what that looked like, but it is role modeling that for people too, to be like, have each other's back. Like whether it's your child too, like protect them, honor them. The more that we do this in the wild, maybe naked in the trees, dancing
Yeah.
like Courtney does. We don't have a
I
lot
wanna
of
do
trees
too.
where I live, so we don't dance naked in the street. It's indecent exposure and it's a whole other thing.
Right.
But
Yeah, it's a different.
Come to the
it's,
Kootenays. You and Dennis are
yeah,
welcome.
we that's a lot of stuff I just had a vision of. So but but really in the wild, like being who we are and role modeling this work, I think is how we're going to start to bring more and more people in that they, and that's what I love again about you both as a couple, that you show your relationship so much. um it's so beautiful because then people get to, it's not just two people who do this work, it's two people
Mhm.
that are like living this.
Mhm.
Like it is your ecosystem.
When I was sharing with Dayna just before, thanks for reflecting that to us, Dayna. Thank you. That
Yeah.
feels really good. And I was sharing with Dayna just a little bit of a vulnerable share is that, and there's vulnerability in that, you know. One of the layers I've been processing about is that um, it means that when Mike and I show up, people are actually feeling us in the moment in the practice of partnership. And so sometimes we're in a podcast, one of us gets a little triggered, or sometimes we're in a podcast, we're not quite as connected, or we're not getting the signal from each other, whatever's happening, right? And they're on the journey. You're on the journey with us, and there's a certain level of vulnerability in that, as opposed to if we're just alone. You know, if I'm just sitting here talking about it, but also it feels like that's what is kind of our medicine. We want people to feel it. And I know when I've been around, I don't know if any of you, I'm going to throw this out there because this was Gabor Mate and his son Daniel Mate did this course on, I think it was called Fresh Start, and it was, you know, parents and adult children. And in it, they were just so real. You were just privy to watching them in process, a father and a son, and all the dynamics. And it was such medicine, just feeling it and seeing it and watching it in practice. And, you know, but this is, I think, also too, what you're describing is how much for you and Dennis, my sense is it's how you're being is informing the field,
Yeah.
how you're being.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is. And I love that you just, I didn't watch that or I haven't, but I've heard of this. And I will say, is having a 18-year-old, a 15 and a 9-year-old, the older one, the 18-year-old, you know, I feel like we've talked so much about relationships and she knows so much, but she's had some relationships that are not great. And, you know, we've sat and just held space for that and keep coming back to, we know what we've modeled. She knows what home and safety feels like. Even if she's pushing against that and being like, "Oh, I like this. I like this." It's like she'll find her way. We don't say anything. I mean, we'll say we don't think that that's great, but we know you're going to find your way. Like it's kind of like we'll state it, but then it's also empowering. And I just really feel like to role model what a secure relationship is for your kids and for other people is like the most important work that we can do, because that's where they learn it. Nobody learns relationships in schools. They don't learn it in church. They don't learn it anywhere. They learn it in their home. And most of us don't come from a secure background.
Mhm.
Mm. And I just thank you, Dayna, for doing the work that you do in the world, because that's something I consistently feel from you is this good mother energy that's in strong advocacy for humanity that we mobilize towards. And both of you, this is why I love it's so easy to relate with you, because there's so much resonance
Mm.
when I'm relating with either
Mm.
of you of no, we are here to do our work and to grow up and to mature and learn how to be in each other's care. And I'm so grateful because it gives me, it's nourishing, it's refreshing to be around when you both speak about these places of prioritizing what the child needs to offer grace and care and curiosity and prioritizing of the relationship. It's been such a gift in my life to be around that because, again, it's infectious, it's magnetic, it's safe. All those little defenders can drop. And the thing that I've loved about both of you women is where you really model the vulnerability and the transparency also of, yeah, and this is what that looks like, and this is what happened. And this is what I again appreciate about you, Dayna, is when you talk about your relationship with Dennis, it informs so many places in our relationship. Like, oh, yeah, this is what we stand for. Oh, and they're human too. Like, some of the most healing moments is where you share a human experience of, like, oh, yeah, and then Dennis and I this, and like, okay, cool. So it's not just, oh,
It's
yeah,
not
the
just
work
me. Yeah.
does never stop. So just thank you. Thank you for holding that pillar, for being so passionate about people prioritizing the relationship, secure functioning.
Aw, thank you. Yeah. And for you guys too, doing that. And just back for you, Mike, for a second, just to have males, more males that can hold both, right? Like that, I know I've said this to you before, that masculine and the feminine, and be like, I can hold this. My dad was like that. Dennis is like that. You're like that. And to have more men who can like be in that energy space and stand for that truth and that integrity is just it's we need more of that. Like we need like millions of them, right? And so like I don't know, the Minion movie just popped up, but like if you could like start something like that, like a really big tribe of men who are following in that would be amazing in like the most beautiful way. I'm saying this playfully, but like just it's like they need that. I just had a session before you guys, and she said she was listening to actually Terry Real, who I know you guys love as well, but she said something about how women are taught to basically get small, and men are taught to not be women. And it's like I was like, well, yeah, I mean, it depends on which generation. I'm not raising my man to do that or my
Mhm.
girls to do that, but just to continue the energy of like men are here to be nurturing and to be strong and to hold space, and women are to be able to hold space and be nurturing and be strong, and that we are a team. We are, I mean, that is what secure is. It's we're a team together. There's both of us for a reason, not just one of us.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
It's too much pressure to hold for just one. And I feel like we could talk about this for hours.
We'll probably
And we have a question that we
Well, I kind of felt like she answered it. I was going to make a little joke here just because our last question for you was, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? And then I was going to say maybe minions that are,
but
you know,
just so you know, everyone who's listening, the initiated man, we are not going to turn you into minions. You're going to be a powerful badass that embraces both as masculine and feminine, as
uh,
Diana described.
That is true. That is
Yeah.
true. They will not be minions. Yeah, it's funny. The question is, it is that the legacy is that I want to change the culture of relationships. I just want I everywhere I go, I am always being who I am in all relationships. I don't change who I am, and I just want people to see and feel that, and I want that to impact them in some way, so they carry it on um, in their life.
Mm.
powerful.
And I
Yeah.
can really trust and feel that that is happening in this
Mhm.
conversation. So thank you for investing your time, your energy. Thanks for being who you are in my personal life, but in now the relationship to everyone who's listening. And I'm so excited for everyone that's listening. And so, do us a favor if you like this. I want you to comment below so us and Dayna can read the comments in there. And then, Dayna, for anyone who wants to go deeper in relationship with you and your work, how can they find you? We'll put your links in the description, but anything you want to share here.
Yeah, probably just the links that you'll have will be probably the best way. My website or Instagram. Um,
Mm.
both I respond to.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh
Thank
my
you.
God.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing.
Thank you.
Thanks for the transmission. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you both for everything, for the work you guys do as well, and for having me here. Always love to connect with you guys. So thanks.
Mhm.
Yay. Yay for relational resonance. And for all of you listening, if you got value, please let us know. What are your takeaways? What are your ahas? Let's lead this to integration. What are you going to work with? What challenged your current beliefs? We want to know in the comments. And if you got value, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell, depending on the platform that you're on. It helps us reach more people. We're so grateful. Give it a 5-star rating if that's what's true for you. And we'll see you on the next one.